From Athens, West Virginia, this is Old Boots and New Roots. Good morning, I'm Logan Bennett, and this is Old Boots and New Roots, the show with your favorite country classics and the best of new rising stars. Welcome to 2023. A new year means lots of new music. This year is looking really good for independent country. Just look at the success of Lainey Wilson, Cody Johnson, and Parker McCollum, all with a more traditionally country sound, coming from smaller indie country scenes. Today, I wanted to share with you 12 artists in the independent country scene who I think you should watch for this year. All of these artists currently have under 1 million monthly listeners and show so much potential to become country powerhouses. Nolan Taylor is a singer-songwriter based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. His voice ranges from the soft fall of rain to the heavy crack of thunder, underlining songs of hard times, wild nights, and heartbreak. The emotional impact of his sound is not only heard, but felt in the bones and in the blood. Themes of longing, desperation, joy, and sorrow ring true and genuine from his lips. When Nolan sings, it'll make you feel all of the heartbreak you have experienced, found a voice, and learned how to play guitar. His passion and his energy are contagious and will draw you into his stories. Sharing stages with popular regional artists such as fellow Cincinnatian Arlo McKinley, Morgan Wade, and Charles Wesley Godwin, Nolan is quickly making a name for himself.
Looking out my window, wishing I was sober. Oh, imagery is vivid. I get lost inside my own head. Now and then I'm spaced out. I've got so much on my mind. So many thoughts are running me out of my own time. And every day I feel it, some sort of darkness moving in. And honey, I'm so sorry if you ever find me cold and stiff. Cut me down, just hold me, and won't you kiss me on my head? Nothing I've ever done's to hurt you. Your love's the only thing that's helped. I can hear all them whispering pines in that sweet feel of a perfect moonlight. You're who I see out through the blinds, so warm with a smile. But that shadow always lingers. It's coming creeping round the bend. Waiting just to hold me, just to hold me and move in. But how can I leave me be? Your love's the only thing that's helped. I swear my pocket watch is closing, and it's sending me to hell. I can hear all them whispering pines in that sweet feel of a perfect moonlight. You're who I see out through the blinds, so warm with a smile. I'm looking out my window, still wishing I was sober.
Next, we have some friends of the show. Low Gap is a country and Americana band based in Holmes County, Ohio. With roots in eastern Kentucky and southeastern Ohio, brothers Gus and Finn Johnson grew up listening to bluegrass and Americana music. That, combined with folk, country, and classic and southern rock, create the unique tone that has become the signature sound of the duo. Low Gap has been playing shows since 2020 and has an established local following. They're grateful for their fans and love to play a fun show, playing original music, covers of their favorite songs, and taking requests from the crowd. Low Gap recently released their debut self-titled album and have already amassed over 300,000 streams on Spotify alone.
Someone else's lip. Do you mean the things you say? Do you really feel that way? Or would you say I'm to any guy you meet? Mockingbird, mockingbird, do you really mean the words you've been singing to me this whole time? Mockingbird, mockingbird, how many of your pretty words are just pretty little lies? You really interested in me, or do you just want my company? So you don't have to sleep alone at night. 'Cause if you want, please tell me, son. I don't wanna waste another moon dining on somebody that don't care. Mockingbird, mockingbird, do you really mean the words you've been singing to me this whole time? Mockingbird, mockingbird, how many of your pretty words are just pretty little lies? Mockingbird, mockingbird, do you really mean the words you've been singing to me this whole time? Mockingbird, mockingbird, how many of your pretty words are just pretty little lies?
Emerging in 2017, Honey Harper is the shadowy, country-inspired operation from William Fussell, an Atlanta-based indie artist who is also associated with post-punk band Mood Rings and the synth-pop project Promise Keeper. After making his full-length debut with 2020's Star Maker, he fashioned the project as more of a band effort on 2022's Honey Harper and the Infinite Sky. Fussell initially found success in 2011 with the lush post-punk band Mood Rings. Relocating to London in 2015, Fussell first released a synth-oriented project under the name Promise Keeper, before unveiling his moody country alter ego in 2017. As Harper, he applies some of the shadowy, ethereal elements from his previous projects to a songwriting and performance style that digs deep into the mythos of country music, particularly the slow and lonesome variety. Signing with Canadian indie Arbutus Records, he released his debut EP, Universal Country, in late 2017 with his first full-length effort, Star Maker, arriving in early 2020. Over the next 2 years, Fussell reapproached the project from a new angle, revamping Honey Harper as more of a collaborative endeavor with keyboardist Alana Pagnutti contributing to the songwriting and arrangements. He also added a full backing band called the Infinite Sky. His first outing in this format was 2022's Honey Harper and the Infinite Sky, and more is on its way.
I wake up lying in the dark. Don't get up early, don't wanna try too hard. My legs are tired, they've turned stone. Clear spring of water these days marks my home. Underneath the laurel, kissing on the sisters of the sun. They're praising me for everything I've done. Please don't let me fall, 'cause it's hard to make a living when you're not living at all. And I won't wilt away. This springtime's got me growing, but I'm weaker each day. I set out walking on my own. My beauty glows in the cold rhinestones. My echo follows me around. She's hiding, hoping that her soul is found. Drowning reflections, staring in the lake of vanity, just to get a better look at me. Please don't let me fall, 'cause it's hard to make a living when you're not living at all. And I won't wilt away. This springtime's got me growing, but I'm weaker each day. I'm up high, and I swear I've been replaced. I'm bruised and battered, the west wind's changed my fate. The God's forgiveness could mean so much more, but a flower isn't quite worth fighting for. Please don't let me fall, 'cause it's hard to make a living when you're not living at all. And I won't wilt away. The springtime's got me growing, but I'm weaker each day. Yes, the springtime's got me growing, now I'm feeling okay.
WVCU is brought to you by Aramark, located at Concord University and online at aramark.com. WVCU would like to thank Aramark for their support and their commitment to education in our community.
WVCU is brought to you in part by the Hatter's Bookshop, located at 929 Mercer Street, Princeton, West Virginia, and online at thehattersbookshop.com. WVCU would like to thank the Hatter's Bookshop for their support and their commitment to education and our community.
WVCU is brought to you in part by Cheap Thrills Records, located at Princeton and Beckley, West Virginia, and online at cheapthrillsrecords.com. WVCU would like to thank Cheap Thrills Records for their support and their commitment to education and our community.
California-born and Nashville-based singer-songwriter Emily Nenny chronicles her life through delicate songcraft rife with honky-tonk spirit and spiked with just the right amount of soul. In possession of a deep understanding of music stoked by a lifelong passion and sharp chops shaped by endless sets in smoky bars and sizzling double wides, she asserts herself as a consummate country storyteller on her full-length debut album, On the Ranch. Growing up in the Bay Area in a family of music nerds, her father worked in radio, and she even attended her first Bruce Springsteen show in utero. Mom and Dad took her to countless concerts as a kid and regaled her with endless tales of music lore. Emily's mother introduced her to the likes of Patsy Cline, Willie Nelson, Jesse Coulter, and Hank Williams, while her father spun James Brown and John Coltrane. Following high school, she attended Columbia College with a major in audio engineering. After a year, she dropped out and saved enough money to move to Nashville, despite not knowing a soul in the city. In order to break into the iconic Robert's Western world on Broadway, she baked cookies for the bouncers and house band, finding herself on stage not long after. Eventually, she linked up with producer and frequent collaborator Mike Eli. Together, they cut her independent LP in 2017. Next up, she joined forces with Teddy and the Rough Riders for the I Owe You Nothing EP before serving up 2020's Long Game EP. The latter's title track cracked over 1 million streams as she caught the attention of Normaltown and New West and signed to the label. Born and raised in the small border town of Del Rio, Texas, William Beckman spent his formative years with a radio dial dominated by the sounds of northern Mexico. Though he'd eventually gravitate more towards classic country and American roots, Beckman's early immersion in mariachi and norteño music left an indelible mark, one that would help shape his distinctive style and guide him on his path to becoming one of the most promising young voices in country music today. My family has Mexican heritage on both sides, Beckman explains, so speaking Spanish around the house was a regular occurrence. When I started learning how to play guitar, I was just naturally singing in Spanish as much as I would in English. While Beckman still slips a bilingual moment in his shows every now and then, these days he primarily delivers his evocative, literate tunes in the plain-spoken English of Townes Van Zandt or fellow Del Rio native Radney Foster, who's helped mentor him since high school. Writing with an old soul maturity that belies his youth, the 26-year-old songwriter crafts rich, detailed character studies fueled by loss and longing, intimate portraits of lonely lovers, big dreamers, and hard drinkers.
There's 30 miles between you and I, but I'll still meet you in the dead of night. I'll drive right through that uneasy rain if it means I'll get to see your face again. And if you sing your favorite melody, you'll keep me in this dream I'm living in. Go ahead and laugh at me. Tell me how you think I'm innocent. I'll tell you how I think your heart is wild. No one has to know about us. These towns are way too small to trust. Just lock me away inside your room and we can do whatever we want to. And if you sing your favorite melody, you'll keep me in this dream I'm living in. Go ahead and laugh at me. Tell me how you think I'm innocent. I'll tell you how I think your heart is wild. And I don't wanna go back to the town where I belong. I wanna stay with you till dawn and listen to you sing that same old song that goes like da 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 da. Between you and I, but then you moved away and we had to say goodbye. And it broke my heart in so many ways. I often find myself looking back on the day when you'd sing your favorite melody. Oh, what a beautiful dream that I was living in. Now I miss you making fun of me by telling me you thought that I was innocent. I told you how I thought your heart was wild. Oh, I miss those 30 miles. Those 30 miles long.
Adeem the Artist is a 7th-generation Carolinian, a makeshift poet, singer-songwriter, storyteller, and blue-collar artist. They began tolling at their instrument in 2002 when their family relocated to Syracuse, New York, and used songwriting as a vehicle to process the ensuing culture shock, their faith, and later their journey through apostasy. Blending a homegrown affection of country music with the emotional ballyhoo of alternative folk in the early aughts, they've created a unique brand of Americana that pays homage to John Prine and Don Darnielle of the Mountain Goats in equal parts. In their music, they weave a rich tapestry of words with humor and wit, exploring identity across coalescing subcultures. Traveling to Carolina to get their tarot read while straddling the duality of being a blue-collar boy, who is a complicated dame, Adeem excavates unwanted stories of the forgotten South.
Daddy's gonna buy me a brand new gun, show me how to clean it in the yard. Papa says he can't wait to see me fire with that steady arm. A couple hours of waiting and some heavy concentration put a bullet through the middle of her heart. Everybody's gonna be so glad to see the freezer full of fresh deer meat. Mama's gonna be so proud of me when we get back to the farm. Nights get longer, days get hard. I learned to put a bullet through the middle of a heart. I learned to put a bullet through the middle of a heart. Carlene asked if she could marry me, driving around in Daddy's car. I gave her my graduation ring down by the lumber yard. I felt the violent hit of her passionate kiss like a bullet through the middle of a heart. Everybody's gonna be so glad to see her down the aisle at our wedding. Mama's gonna be so proud of me, spinning around a steel guitar. Nights get longer, the days stay hard. It hits like a bullet through the middle of a heart. It hits like a bullet through the middle of a heart. Daddy paid his service till his time was due. His buddy recruits these days. Says I can make my country proud and get my education paid. Face them fears, make it 3 years, and brother, you'll have it made. Everybody's gonna be so glad to see me wearing that robe with my degree. Mama's gonna be so proud of me. God bless the USA. But nights get longer, days stay hard. I learned to put a bullet through the middle of a heart. I learned to put a bullet through the middle of a heart. I didn't have a grudge to bear to any of the people there, but I came home haunted by the lives my duty cost. I felt the barrel's tip against my ribs, put a bullet through the middle of a heart. Everybody's gonna be so sad to see the flag disappear into the earth with me. Mama, do you think you still believe I'm gonna see the face of God? Nights get longer, the light goes dark. I have learned to put a bullet through the middle of a heart. I have learned to put a bullet through the middle of a heart.
Here is your Country Music Minute. A Grammy Award-winning country music recording engineer was shot and killed by Nashville SWAT team Friday after a warrant was issued for his arrest for allegedly holding his wife and stepdaughter hostage at gunpoint. In a briefing from Metro Nashville Police Department spokesman Don Aaron, SWAT officers were allegedly called to the home of recording engineer Mark Capps after he allegedly woke his 60-year-old wife and 23-year-old stepdaughter at 3 a.m. at gunpoint and held them in the living room of the house, telling the women that he would kill them if they attempted to call anyone and would kill any police who showed up at his house. The women escaped when Capps fell asleep and drove to the police department, who obtained a warrant for Capps and called in a SWAT team to execute a warrant due to the threats Capps had made overnight. As the SWAT team prepared to move in, Capps allegedly opened the door with his pistol in his hand. When officers demanded that Capps show his hands, according to Aaron, officers deemed that Capps' movements posed an immediate, imminent threat and opened fire. Capps was the son of Jimmy Capps, legendary Nashville guitar player who was a member of the Nashville A-Team, a group of studio musicians who appeared on most albums coming out of Music City in the 1950s through the early 70s. Jimmy Capps was also the house guitarist for the Grand Ole Opry. Mark Capps has worked with names like Alabama, Tracy Lawrence, Blake Shelton, Amy Grant, the Dixie Chicks, and Brooks and Dunn. He was also credited on Dolly Parton's latest album, Run, Rose, Run, from 2022. The Chicks are headed to Sin City. In the spirit of reviving 90s country artists and songs, the Chicks have jumped in on the action and will be performing 6 nights in Las Vegas come early summer. The Chicks have been a feminist and political advocacy stable for years, never backing down or shying away from sharing their opinions on controversial issues. And now that they are Dixie-free after a name change, they're back to focusing on music. In 2020, the Dynamic Girl Band released an album titled Gaslighter, and last year they hit the road to promote the new music, making it the first time the women had toured in over 5 years. The group hopes to reignite their previous successes, which include a dozen Grammy Award wins, several chart-topping hits, and over 30 million sold albums. For a group that has thrived on forging their own way in music, a Vegas residency seems like a great location for the Chicks to continue to kick off their revitalization. The group will play May 3rd, 5th, 6th, 10th, 12th, and 13th at the Zappos Theater inside the Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. In case you haven't heard, we have one of the wildest mashups I think I've ever heard of in my life coming our way soon, and it features no other than EDM pop producer Diplo, rapper Kodak Black, and no other than Koe Wetzel. Yeah, I never thought I'd hear these 3 names in the same sentence, but here we are. The tune is called Wasted, a song that Diplo first hinted to back in June after the trio was posting videos of them all hanging out in Miami. Wasted comes out this Friday. Billy Strings doesn't need an introduction anymore. Fresh off a wildly successful 2022 that saw the release of his bluegrass masterpiece, Me and Dad, alongside his father, several nights in a row of sold-out shows at iconic venues all across the world, and collaborations with high-profile artists spanning several genres, Billy Strings is looking to carry this record-setting, trailblazing momentum into 2023. And just a few days in, he appears to be off to a great start. Back in November, Billy announced his Winter 2023 shows that feature 20 shows and 9 spanning across the whole country. Throughout the tour, he'll be playing 2 or 3 nights in the majority of these cities at historic intimate venues, like the Georgia Theater in Athens, Georgia, and the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee, as well as massive arena shows and everything in between. One stop on his tour kind of seems to stand out from the others, though. Not necessarily because of the venue he's playing or the city he's playing in, but stands out instead because of the circumstance surrounding the show. On the first night of his back-to-back shows in Winston-Salem, North Carolina at the beginning of March, Billy Strings and several special guests will be joining together to celebrate the life of bluegrass legend Doc Watson on what would have been his 100th birthday. As part of Doc Watson's 100th birthday celebration, Billy Strings will be inviting several guests to join him at the Lawrence Joel Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Winston-Salem, and he finally took to Instagram to announce who those artists would be earlier this week. You're invited. Can't wait to celebrate Doc Watson's 100th birthday with these very special guests: Brian Sutton, Molly Tuttle, T. Michael Coleman, Jack Lawrence, Wayne Henderson, and Jack Hinchelwood, hosted by Ted Olson. Charles Wesley Godwin has announced that he'll be stepping into the iconic circle and making his Grand Ole Opry debut on February 10th. The powerhouse singer and songwriter from West Virginia broke into the scene back in 2018 with his debut album, Seneca, and then began really picking up steam with his 2021 follow-up, How the Mighty Fall. He's kept a full touring schedule out, pounding the pavement, opening up for Zach Bryan, along with selling out venues around the country as people finally start to realize what a special artist Godwin really is. If you haven't had the opportunity to see him live yet, he puts on one of the most high-energy shows you'll ever see, filled with the incredible song of his band, the Allegheny High, to go along with his booming vocals and introspective songwriting, inspired by his home in the Appalachian Mountains. And while he's an independent artist without the backing of the Nashville machine, it's great to see an artist like Charles build such a rabid following the old-fashioned way, with killer songwriting, an amazing voice, and a workhorse-like touring schedule that's allowed him to earn fans at every step he takes on stage.
You're tuned in to 97.7 FM WVCU, Concord University's very own Mountain Lion Radio.
A distinctive upright bassist, singer, and songwriter from Arkansas, Melissa Carper's homespun yet profound tales of life, love, and loss combine elements of old-timey blues, country, western swing, jazz, honky-tonk, and early rock and roll. Nicknamed Hillbilly Holiday by friend and frequent collaborator Chris Scruggs, her well-received 2015 debut paved the way for the critically acclaimed Daddy's Country Gold in 2021 and Ramblin' Soul 2022. the latter of which marked her debut for 30 Tigers. Raised in rural Nebraska, Carper spent her formative years playing upright bass with her traveling family band. Parsing her parents' record collection, she gravitated towards artists like Hank Williams, Patsy Cline, Loretta Lynn, Ray Charles, Elvis Presley, and Jimmie Rodgers. While attending the University of Nebraska-Lincoln on a music scholarship, Carper discovered Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Frank Sinatra, and Nat King Cole, which helped shape her vocal style. She left college after a 2-year stint and relocated to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, where her innate wanderlust and nomadic upbringing helped her win friends and fans amidst the city's busking community. Using Eureka Springs as a home base, Carper took her show on the road, prying her wares and honing her trade from New Orleans to Austin to New York City, where in the late 90s she co-founded the bluegrass and folk group The Maybelles. In 2010, she founded the Carper Family. Based out of Austin, the trio quickly became staples of the city's music scene, impressing audiences with their immaculate 3-part harmonies and deep knowledge of roots music. Later projects included Arkansas quartet Sad Daddy and roots duo Buffalo Gals with Sad Daddy bandmate and partner, fiddler Rebecca Paddock. Carper issued her solo debut, a collection of country blues and old-time songs called Arkansas Bound, in 2015. She hit her stride in 2021 with the release of Daddy's Country Gold, which elicited praise for its rich storytelling and golden-era country patina. She inked a deal with 30 Tigers ahead of the release of 2022's Ramblin' Soul. Like its tube-driven predecessor, the 13-song set was co-produced by Andrea Tokic and Dennis Crouch in vintage analog style.
That's my only regret, that I was mean when we parted, and I never said sorry. That's my only regret. That's my only regret, that I became a jealous wreck, and I pushed you away in the end. That's my only regret. It didn't have to end like this. I could have played it cool, I guess. I could have stolen another kiss. That's my only regret, and now I never can seem to forget the way it felt when our two hearts met. That's my only regret. Oh, I never could believe all the love you gave to me. I thought surely you would leave. That's my only regret, that I couldn't receive love yet, and I never believed it could last. That's my only regret. That's my only regret, and I was mean when we parted, and I never said sorry. That's my only regret. Now it's too late to say sorry. That's my only regret.
Ben Burgess is the pride of East Dallas, a Renaissance man with a golden pen. After landing his first career cut with Jonas Brothers, Chillin' in the Summertime, he packed up a blossoming career born in Austin's 6th Street to chase dreams in Los Angeles, but quickly relocated to Nashville shortly thereafter when his twang got a little too loud for the West Coast. Burgess started writing with Warner Chappell Music Publishing in 2015. where he stockpiled cuts including the BMI 2020 Song of the Year, Morgan Wallen's 7-time platinum Whiskey Glasses, Tyler Rich's Gold The Difference, Pat Green's Texas Radio #1 Drinkin' Days, Lil Wayne's Dreams, Martin Garrix and Troye Sivan's platinum There For You, Dierks Bentley's My Religion, Hardy's Sign Sober You, and more. His tracks have landed TV placements on ABC's Grey's Anatomy and commercial spots for Major League Baseball, Xbox, and Lexus. Breaking out as an artist in his own right, Burgess signed to Big Loud Records in 2020, and in the same year was featured on Diplo Presents Thomas Wesley's Buzzy Chapter 1 Snake Oil album on Heartbreak. He's also featured on Hixtape Volume 2's Red Dirt Clouds, alongside David Lee Murphy and Big Loud label mate Ernest. Burgess's debut album, Tears the Size of Texas, is out now.
Baby, I've always been a cowboy. Just my guitar, my horses and gone. Like the movies, I live with the setting sun. And if I was you, baby, I'd run. 'Cause you'll be crying tears the size of Texas. The California coast crashing in on your porch. Days before you go and do something reckless. Know how wild my west is. And maybe you can call all my exes. Meet up at that church every week for support. Before the judge convicts me, girl, I'm here confessing. I ain't one to mess with. 'Cause you'll be crying tears the size of Texas. Your mama gon' curse my goddamn name. Your brothers put a bounty on my head. The weatherman says it's 100% chance. Heartbreak gon' rain again. You'll be crying tears the size of Texas. The California coast crashing in on your porch. Days before you go and do something reckless. Know how wild my west is. Maybe you can call up all my exes. Meet up at that church every week for support. Before the judge convicts me, girl, I'm here confessing. I ain't one to mess with. 'Cause you'll be crying tears the size of Texas. I swear, Daisy, every dog has his day. Daisy, I'm just calling to say I've been crying tears the size of Texas. The Corpus Christi coast flooding my porch. Why'd I have to go and do something reckless? I know how wild the West is. Daisy, don't be another one of my exes. Heaven knows round here it's been a hell of a storm. This old desperado fitting to learn his lesson. Hope you get this message. But I've been crying tears the size of Texas. I've been crying tears the size of Texas.
Benjamin Dakota Rogers wields one of those distinct, immediate, and truly wild voices. With a studied nod to old-time and bluegrass rhythms, his unvarnished sound effectively smashes the barrier between past and present. Hailing from his family's farm in southwestern Ontario, Rogers grew up building greenhouses, growing vegetables, and living off the land. Growing up, my family drove a big VW bus. We listened to a lot of fiddle music going from festival to festival, he says. These days, I live in one of the barns, tap trees, and make music. It's impossible to separate Rogers' knack for brisk syncopation from the terrain he knows so well. In fact, the intense tension of Rogers' voice, complete with a sweeping rasp and flying draw, seems to come directly from the farm's wellspring. There's a massive pack of coy wolves and coyotes in the woods near us, he says. You can hear them every night, howling and fighting. Delivering songs from a deep well of passion for storytelling, Rogers' lyric sensibility is rare among young artists. His most recent single, John Came Home, is a haunting take on the murder ballad. I've had the riff for about 6 months, he says. I tend to write short stories and convert them into songs. John Came Home is full of upbeat boldness and ghostly ire that culminates in a direct hit to the chest. Rogers finds a way to match the instrument to the guttural twang of the voice. I inherited my great-grandfather's violin when I was young, he says, so I grew up playing that. After a few years on 6 strings, Roger began tuning his tenor guitar like a fiddle. Tenors are neat because they were only popular for a short time in the 1920s. I've played about 200 shows on mine. It's beautiful and unreliable, he laughs. The unconventional nature of such a classic piece shines on Charlie Boy, where precise picking builds to a dramatic peak. With sturdy backing by a sparse rhythm section, Rogers offers a fresh and authentic contribution to the traditions of string band sound. 2019's Better By Now introduced Rogers as a unique talent in Americana. Inspired by fellow troubadours Tyler Childers and Colter Wall, Benjamin has shared stages around the USA with the likes of Molly Tuttle, Shovels and Rope, and the Milk Carton Kids. With a stream of new singles released over the past year, Rogers is riding a creative wave. I just set up a studio in the barn, he says. I'm excited to start laying down new tracks there. Sometimes we even get the old coyote howl funneled into the recording.
1, 2, 3, 4. Harlow knows the freeways like it knew his family's farm. All the paths and routes that'll take you from where you are to where you're going. And he could drive 10,000 miles and never have to turn around. Black beauties in the glove box for when he was feeling down. Carries around his wife and her Tupperware on the seat, and he'd swear he could see her ghost flicker when he flips on the high beams. When the driving gets too quiet, he'd sing her songs that used to make her dance. Little blaze in the morning to chase away the nighttime's trance. Says this all you had for me, so tell you it's not what I pictured when I was 17. I keep on trying, I just can't believe it's all you had for me. Used to own some cornfields up in old Illinois. Developments grew like cancerous tumors, and the government bled them dry. He held on just long enough to watch his son grow up. The bank called, they took it all, left him with nothing but his love. So he pulls up to the neon glow of an old 6 motel. He stayed here about back on the TV, lulls him off to sleep. Swears he could hear her voice whisper between the chatter in his dreams. Says, is this all you have for me? So I'll tell you it's not what I pictured when I was 17. I keep on trying, I just can't believe this is all you have for me. I keep on trying, I just can't believe this is all you have for me.
Are you tired of the same old songs? Then tune into Old Boots and New Roots every Tuesday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. The show with your favorite country classics and the best of new rising stars. Only on WVCU.
Okay, this is real country music.
As a relatively young and independent band from West Texas, Treaty Oak Revival falls into that category, with a grungy brand of Texas country that seems poised to carve out its own niche in a path that was blazed in recent years by bands like Whiskey Myers. Founded in 2019, Treaty Oak Revival only had 2 singles out by the end of 2020, a live cut of Ode to Bourbon that came out that January, and No Vacancy that dropped in November, but that stands to change with the release of their debut full-length album No Vacancy. Treaty Oak Revival consists of Sam Canty, lead singer and acoustic guitar, Lance Vanley, rhythm electric background vocals, Jeremiah Vanley, lead electric, Andrew Carey on bass, and Kelly McKay on drums. Their sound is rooted in Texas red dirt country, but draws from southern rock and punk influences, evidenced by the punk-tinged electric guitar that puts a chip on the shoulder of Irish Goodbye, ultimately leading to a combination of styles that would make the end product raw and refreshingly rough around the edges. The same could be said of the album's subject matter, as the 9-track project dives right into hard living with Boomtown, a wild ride fueled by booze, a wry sense of humor, and undeniable energy. These themes carry through No Vacancy as a whole, as the band spells out. No Vacancy is an album that deals with substance abuse and bad relationships. Every song on the album is almost like a different room in this booked motel. All of those rooms and songs tell a different story. You get to be a fly on the wall for each one of those stories.
Sitting on the curbside, liquor in my cup. Well, she says goodbye and the phone hangs up. And it's kinda got me feeling some type of way, like a sinner left sitting on Judgment Day. These empty bottles of motel rooms don't treat me quite like they used to. And the company man still treats me well, paying for a glorified prison cell. Yeah, well, she comes, she goes, and she always says goodbye. And I give anything just to be by her side. Got a bottle in a room and a motel key, and a broken heart with no vacancy. Broken heart with no vacancy. Yeah, no vacancy. Said she'll call me around 8:30. Been a damn long day, don't wait up too late. And I'm sitting like a prisoner in these four walls, watching basic cable, drinking alcohol.
says goodbye and the phone hangs up. And it's kinda got me feeling some type of way, like a sinner left sitting on Judgment Day. And she comes and she goes, but she always says goodbye. And I keep anything just to be by her side. Got a bottle in a room and a motel key, and a broken heart with no vacancy. Broken heart with no vacancy. No vacancy. Yeah, no vacancy.
Pony Bradshaw didn't know he could sing because he'd never tried. His dad was a military man turned Elvis impersonator, whom a young Pony helped keep stocked with scars on stage for admirers. Pony had always listened to music, but he'd never made it. He played baseball. He joined and got kicked out of the Air Force. It was about 5 years ago when Pony discovered not only that he could make music, but that he should. It was a little open mic in Chattanooga. Pony says it was his first time to perform in public. I was scared to death. It was a competition, and I never liked competition, but for some reason, I wanted to go show my tunes. I played the first song I'd written at that open mic. He pauses, then sighs, and laughs a little at the same time. It worked out good, you know. I won that competition. It made me believe what I was doing was okay. On his debut album, Sudden Opera, 38-year-old Pony offers a convincing argument in favor of art made by adults who've had time to live, screw up, try again, and find their voice. The record's title is an apt description. Its sound hits abruptly, then steadily like a flood, swells of moody strings, thundering low ends, and dramatic keys, led by Pony's swinging soul vocals, yearning, consoling, and questioning. I'm a big questioner for sure, Pony says. Flannery O'Connor said she doesn't know what she believes until she writes it. It's a way of figuring out your own belief system, there for everybody to see as you work through it. Writing tells me about myself. He pauses. It helps a lot. These days, Pony reads novels and poetry more than he listens to songs, although heroes such as Townes Van Zandt and Guy Clark still loom large. 19th century French authors, poets, and painters have a hold on him, especially Flaubert. He's interested in the creative process, that grind that conditions the brain to know how to recognize inspiration and run with it. I ask myself every day why I want to be good at this, he says. It's hard. I wrestle with the ego and this whole thing, but I just know that writing, singing, and playing makes me happy, so I continue to do it. Pony, born James Bradshaw, moved around a lot as a kid. A military brat, born in Mississippi, he logged time around the country. Today, he settled in Georgia. It's where his young children live, and more than anywhere else has ever been. It's home. After the Air Force showed him the door at 21 years old, he drifted, until the music he found more than a decade later became his anchor. No matter the venue or town, Pony Bradshaw will be Pony Bradshaw, leaving listeners sad but hopeful as he asks tough or even unanswerable questions in beautiful ways.
I woke up on the wrong side of my bedroom, deep in the holler where the pharaoh hog roams. Dreams of T-bone steaks and foxfire wine to heal my mind. She danced a rustic dance, hallelujah, on the mountain, bucking to the rhythm of old Appalachia. It's a hell of a heaven and a hell of a show. They're back, they sent to the margins with a knife to our throats. Ooh. When the cow cries, the cow dies. First man came north from the end of the world, crossed the Patagonia sands, our says hallelujah on the mountain, bucking to the rhythm of old Appalachia. It's a hell of a heaven and a hell of a show. They're backing us into the margins with a knife to our throats. Woo! When the cow cries, the cow dies. Follow the songline. Follow the songline. Follow the songlines. The songlines.
Before leaving, I just wanted to name some honorable mentions. There are several artists on other lists online that I feel don't quite fit the criteria that I've given on my list. These artists have already achieved some success, having at least one song that has entered the charts, sometimes even topping the charts. This includes Bailey Zimmerman, Megan Maroney, Jackson Dean, Nate Smith, Corey Kent, and Jelly Roll. They all look to have a huge year coming up for each and every one of them. If you've listened to any show I've ever done, you know I'm a huge fan of the man, the myth, the legend, Zach Bryan. This appears to be his year. After all the success of last year, he can only continue to grow and enter the mainstream. With its latest album, Fortune Favors the Bold, Russell County, Virginia-based 49 Winchester is ready and roaring to break onto the national scene with its unique brand of tear-in-your-beer alt-country, sticky barroom floor rock and roll, and high-octane Appalachian folk. As we've aged and matured, our sound has gone from a softer place to this grittier, edgier tone that we have now, says lead singer guitarist Isaac Gibson. So we're trending more towards being a rock band instead of a country band. But at the same time, I don't think anybody's ever known quite what to call it. Although it's 49 Winchester's fourth studio album, Fortune Favors the Bold marks its debut for Nashville's New West Records, one of the premier labels for Americana, indie, and rock acts on the cutting edge of sound, scope, and spectacle. Formed 8 years ago on Winchester Street in the small town of Castlewood, Virginia, population 2,045, the band started as a ragtag bunch of neighborhood teenagers who just wanted to get together for the sake of playing together. Aside from Gibson, there's also his childhood friend, bassist Chase Chafin, alongside other Castlewood cronies, guitarist Buzz Shelton and Noah Patrick on pedal steel. From day one, it's always been a band and will always be about being a band. This is everything we love about music. We're going for broke with this thing, says Gibson. And that gives us a unique perspective because it's still the same guys. It's still all of us from Castlewood traveling around, playing music, and making this band a reality. This is a story of growth. And it's that sense of growth, more so a sense of self, at the core of Fortune Favors the Bold. It's not only a record that showcases the current state of 49 Winchester, it's a melodic stake in the ground for how this band is constantly evolving and taking shape, sonically and lyrically. Reflecting on his early days as a jack-of-all-trades stonemason in Castlewood, where it was about trying to make ends meet in an effort to keep 49 Winchester rolling along, Gibson can't help but be grateful for a well-earned notion at the core of the band's ethos. Anything worthwhile in life is built brick by brick. Everything has to be built, and very few people are going to achieve success overnight, says Gibson. There's going to be people you see succeed in front of you. Maybe you don't think they deserve it as much as you, haven't worked as hard as you, haven't done it as long as you. But none of that matters. They ain't you. They're not living your life. They're not part of your experience. At its essence, Fortune Favors the Bold is about going against all odds to bring your art into fruition and into the world. It's about leaving your hometown and heading for an unknown horizon. It's about proving those wrong who snickered and waited for the day you give up somewhere down the line, only to circle back home with your tail between your legs. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Logan Bennett. Y'all have a nice day.
I have traveled such a distance just to see the smile that's on your face. And I have traveled far and wide, and I have died and lived and flown through time and space. And the most familiar happiness I've ever known is here with me again. Tucked away inside my home, this rolling stone has found a rock to call his friend. And if you wonder where my heart is when I'm out on the road, Lord, it's right at home. I left it, honey, just for you to hold. And if you wonder how I'm doing, know that I am doing fine. But I wish I was in Virginia on the Russell County line. Captivated by your beauty, I look at you and see the one I love. Reunited in this tomb where our pride died and was buried from above. And in that dirt was planted seeds of hope. From them grew the flowers of our lives. And all our favorite little things that true love brings, all the times we laughed and cried. And if you wonder where my heart is when I'm out on the road, Lord, it's right at home. I left it, honey, just for you to hold. And if you wonder how I'm doing, know that I am doing fine. But I wish I was in Virginia on the Russell County line.